off, I had to run over to catcher, and as soon as the pitch went in, you had to wait till it crossed the plate. And I took off running, and the catcher missed it, and I was going to end up scoring.
Hit somebody.
Yeah, I was mad. So Vance, he comes up to my car lot once in a while, and a couple years ago, I told him about that. He goes, I don't remember that. Well, I do.
Damn you! Let's go right now. I have a bone to pick with you after all these years.
Things like Michael Jordan. I'm just a little pissed off when you put me on the. He didn't get cut. He just got kept on the freshman team on the JV team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they got it.
They said he got cut. Well, I guess that's getting cut. Go back to the JVs. Michael Jordan said what really pissed him off was that his best friend, who he says he would play one-on-one with all the time, every day, he would run circles around him, he made the varsity. But the head coach says, well, I took him because he was a center. Because I didn't need any more guards. I needed a center. Rebound and passing. So that's the game, too.
Yeah. Yeah, Chad Pickens' mom was a teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was an English teacher, from what I understand. I mean, I didn't know her, but I just listened to your
Well, I
dad
remember
and
my
all
dad
that.
telling the story of what happened. It was like a Hamill story where one of his friends, Amendola.
Yeah, I love this story.
And,
Yep.
you know, he took the car, hey, get me something at and took the car. He smoked the cigarette and burned a hole, and Hamill was, and he's hiding behind Mrs. Pickens, who's like, my dad, 4 foot tall, and he's like, now, Carl.
I love your dad told that story several times, and I've repeated it over and over to other guys when your dad wasn't there to tell it. And you know what's really funny is that your dad said Carl Hamill, he was the dean of boys at that time.
Okay.
He would always be clearing his throat. So you knew he was coming. Yeah. Here he comes. Where's he at? So years later, you remember Amendola's working as the guard at the center, and he's 22 years old. He smoked a cigarette. Back then, you could smoke wherever. And he hears,
That's funny.
You know, Doc Daugherty, he was the one that, I guess, threw the baseball that hit Chad. Well, about a month ago or two, we were over in a museum. And, I'm a board member, so I'm the vice president. Yeah, big deal. Nobody else wanted it. So we were over there moving stuff around, and I was in Dennis Jones's old office. And his desk is piled up with junk and whatever. And we're rooting through the drawers. I forget what we were looking for. There's a baseball. And there's a little tag with the baseball, separate tag. And it says the 1951 Detroit Tigers, including Doc Daugherty.
Go three.
I'm sure Doc Daugherty got this ball. So I take the ball. I said, I'm taking it in my little museum. If they want it back, I'll give it back to them. I'm taking it over to my garage where everybody can see. And so I get this baseball, and I'm putting glasses on, a magnifying glass, and if some of the names are hard to read, I do see Doc Daugherty because he's right there clear right by himself. So I Googled the Detroit Tiger lineup in 1951. So now I printed it. So now I can make sense of the names, and I'll start checking off. There's one name I can't figure out. Here, he was the manager. His name was on the roster. Vic Wirtz. What's really cool is Vic Wirtz is one of them. And Vic Wirtz was the model baseball bat that I used. Vic Wirtz bat. So I'm keeping that ball. That's the museum. In the meantime, I got Andrew McCutcheon baseball signed and a couple others. And I started making a little sports museum. Of course, I got Nathan. His pictures there whenever he was in the Weird Daily Times, and it says Weird connection to the Pounds. And I got Johnny's picture when he got the hole in one. It's right there. And I got another picture of Johnny. He's going like this when he scored against Moon.
Plum.
So,
Moon. Okay, yeah. There's a couple.
I thought Johnny's best games were against Moon.
I've always said Nate and Johnny both always had great games against Moon. One of the parents that I know after after the final game that we played them, Johnny's senior year, is like, I'm just so glad to be done with the Dragons.
Well, Charlie Basil, who I knew from high school, he
Yeah,
he played for
remember
Brook,
running into
and
him.
I always would talk to him. His son might still be it. He was younger than Johnny. He might be a senior now. If he hasn't graduated. Charlie was the quarterback for Brook.
Yeah.
You know, he
was a couple
transplanted
years
from
older than me.
Fairmont.
Like, I think he was a senior when my brother was a sophomore, so he was a senior when Derek, so him and Derek played against each other, in basketball. He
What
was a
about
good
Chad
athlete.
Cantor? Was he?
Cantor was 2 years younger than me. So
He came later.
Cantor was a sophomore when I was a senior.
He was the same type of player that Charlie Basil was. They were both infielders in baseball, and they were both guards that shot the three-pointer. But only Charlie played football. He was a quarterback. Chad didn't. Not that I know.
Yeah, I don't think Chad played football. Chad was a good athlete.
He played Division I.
Yeah, he played at Butler. I don't know how much playing time he got, but
They made it to the. College tournament.
well,
West Virginia made it to the Super Regional. They beat Kentucky.
Oh, did they win
They
last
won
night?
the Clemson Regional, and now they're in the Super Regional. If they win that, they get to the College World Series.
Wow.
I think there's 8 Super Regionals.
Well, yeah, we'll have to, it'll be a different college experience of Duquesne versus, WVU. We can go down for some WVU football games and tailgate a little bit, see Tiff. She's headed there. Go to some basketball games.
They bring their own bats.
There you go, Nate. Yeah, I think, they have that.
Fair.
Where it hit.
I was doing a game, Duquesne and WVU, at Herschel Field, which is in Crafton. There's a Herschel Street, and there's an old concrete. Duquesne, through the years,
I don't
Duquesne never had their own baseball field, you probably know. They're like Madonna, wherever they can play. And through the years, Duquesne would play at Herschel Field, then they played at North Park High Trainer Field, and then they played in Oakmont, different places. And they finally had a really good field up at Green Tree.
Oh, yeah.
That
Parkway
was
Center. Parkway.
Yeah. West, is that what it is?
Yeah, Parkway Mall, or wherever the old mall
Great
was.
field, nice dugouts, and they finally got a decent field in, and then they didn't have a team anymore. But they were playing at Herschel Field again. That was the first field they ever played at in the Empire Forum. And one of the best players that Duquesne ever had was a Master Tony. He was a left-hand hitter from McCon, and he had the all-time batting average for Duquesne.
What year was that?
This is 1976, 77,
Oh,
78,
okay.
in that era. And Ron Hudson tells me this is my first Division I game ever. And I'm going to Duquesne. And he says, there's a kid from Madonna. You umpire for him in high school? And I said, I don't remember him. But he was their number one hitter. He had their batting
I went to
average.
high school with the Dan Mastertoni. I don't know if,
Related somehow.
yeah, I mean, he would have been 50 years old now. He was a sophomore when I was a senior.
Then in the this was a time later. WVU's playing there, and the Herschel Field was in a neighborhood, an old neighborhood, and they had these big high concrete bleachers on the one side. And left field, over the fence, there was a street, and there was a whole line of houses, a whole neighborhood. And so the foul pole was only so high. It wasn't very high. It wasn't high enough. The tree was on it, maybe 6 foot high, 7 foot high. And this kid from WVU hits one. He hooks one. And when it went over the fence, the way you determine whether it's fair or foul is when it crosses the fence line. It doesn't matter what happens to it afterwards. So if the foul pole's there and it goes like that and curves around, it's fair. But if it's up here, it's hard to tell.
You can't tell.
And that's what I had. And when the ball came down and landed, it was like 3 houses foul. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, and it lands. It looks so much as 3 houses foul. Well, Dell Ransburg, the coach from WVU, he's like watching it like this, and I go, foul. Giving real emphatic with it. He's like, are you sure? Are you sure? That was a towering home run. That was like a 400, 500-foot home run. And then about 4 or 5 years later, I'm down at WVU, and Ransburg comes walking by, and there's like a little delay in the game, and I said, hey, I'm up in UK whenever skipping over. He goes, yeah. When you were umpiring, we still talk about that.
I still think it's.
I said it landed 3 houses foul. He goes, anywhere it lands, it's where it goes over. The pole's this high, the ball's as high as the moon up there.
We still talk about it.
Like that. That's the first time I had that car out this year, so I took it for a ride. I wanted Donna to come. She didn't want to come.
No, this would have been a good place for dogs, then.
Yeah.
Is that one you got from the auction? Or?
No, I bought, about 6, 7 years ago, there was a red Mustang, similar to that, very similar to that. It was just a GT that somebody took and souped up. They changed the motor, they changed the suspension with different wheels. It was really nice. And it was at Taylorstown at the auction that we go to. And it was sitting, it was going to be the first car at the auction off, and it was in the garage. Somebody was really camping, keeping it in there. And my buddy Robert says, I'm checking all the cars out, and I'm real busy. And he goes, hey, come here. And I'm like, don't bother me. I'm trying to check these cars. No, come here, get that car. Look at this. And I looked at that, and I went, I love it. I want this car. The hell with them other ones, I want it for me. And then I scanned it, and it said something like $14,000 retail. And I'm thinking, I'll pay every bit of the 14. Everybody else has it too. Yeah. It ended up selling for 16.
Oh, okay.
And I quit bidding at 14. So we went home, and for a whole week, all I did was talk about that car. And I said, man, I don't give a shit. I should have bought that car. And man, I'm disappointed. I'm depressed. And next week, we're up there. My buddy says, hey, that Mustang you like? Yeah, because that car right there, I bought it. So I went over here, he passed the board with, his name is Bob Hercules, never met him before. And I went over and I said, hey, did you buy that red Mustang? He goes, yeah. He goes, I didn't want that asshole over there getting it, because I would have paid anything for it. He goes, I didn't really want the car, but that dickhead over there, I hate his guts off. I was going to bid it to the moon. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it? He goes, I'll sell it. I said, what do you want for it? I said, I really wanted that car. He goes, give me $1,000 more than I paid. And I thought about that car. I don't give a shit. I will. So I went, and we became best friends.
Oh, is that right?
So he's down in Warwood, and man, he would come up to my place, and all the guys would do. He goes, man, I envy you. He goes, I don't have guys like this.
Yeah, he wants to be. Yeah, he wants to be a part of that.
Yeah. So we became really good friends, and I bought like 2 or 3 other cars from him. He hooked me up with, but regular cars, not them. So then. Brian Beatty, he's a detective in Wharton. And
you relate to Bill Beatty?
No. I always thought he was, but he's not. So Brian, he's a detective, and he would stop in and he would say, man, I'm looking for a GT. You got any GTs? And I said, no, the only one I got's this. I don't want to sell it. So one day, he calls me, he sends me a picture. He goes, I was at a car show. Is this that GT that you got? I go, no, that ain't mine.
Let's go.
I thought it was. He goes, I'm going to Columbus, Ohio tomorrow. There's one out there. I'm going to take $25,000 for it. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm ready to sell mine. I would sell you mine for $25,000. Because Chico bought a lot.
Come on, Nate.
And That's what that is. So when I saw Chico's Roush, I said, that's what I want. And so I told him, I'll sell this one for 25. So I paid 17 and sold it. Wow. So he bought it, and then I went and bought that one. That's a Roush Mustang.
Okay.
Really one. That is one of one. That's the only one in the world like that. I got lucky to find out. So I don't know. There's these NASCAR guys. Jack Roush. He's a NASCAR owner, and he had a driver.